Hey, Sets a Transfer here. I just recently got the game Skyrim and I decided to talk about it. I couldn't even afford the game. The way I had to get it was I had to trade in a bunch of my old games that I don't play anymore to EB Games, and yeah, I traded like 15 games for like $129, which was enough to buy the game and the strategy guide. So I've got a list here that I'll follow through so I don't forget anything. First of all, the graphics are pretty good. Only thing is so far the world doesn't look as nice as Oblivion did. I can only play the game on high graphics as opposed to the ultra graphics setting. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say Oblivion and Skyrim are about the same in terms of graphics and how nice the world looks. Although the water in the game does look really good. I can't particularly remember what it looked like in Oblivion, but yeah, it was pretty plain. But in this one, you've got like rivers that like look real. You see all the ripples and all the foam and everything. It's really nice. Now, probably the thing that I like most about this game is the change that they've made to the ability system. Because in Oblivion, first of all, the ability system was extremely exploitable, because you could just, summon a skeleton, hit him with your sword until he dies, let him hit you so that you get your armor skill up, and depending on what you're going, there are all kinds of different ways to just exploit the game. And in this one, you don't actually choose major skills anymore. In Oblivion you chose 7 major skills and they were what you got bonuses on and what you would level up for increasing. However, in this one, you don't actually choose any skills. All you choose is your race, and that's it. Your race gets bonuses to certain skills, and if you level up any skill, it goes towards your level. So, if you're a fighter and you happen to